In the previous demo, I showed you how to stitch together multiple photos, creating panoramic images. I'm going to use that similar process, but this time I'm going to show you how to make a multiplicity image. So I'm going to go to File, Browse in Bridge again, since I'm going to be using multiple images. And right here again in Adobe Bridge, I'm just going to click on my desktop. I'll go over to my folders on my desktop. I can double click to look inside each one. I'll double click to look inside there, double click to look inside chapter 3, and then I have folder 3.7, the last folder here in chapter 3. It says make only one multiplicity image. When I double click, I'm going to give you a choice of 2. But here's an example of a multiplicity image by Jared Nelson, a past student of mine. Did a great job on creating a multiplicity image. Multiple copies of the same person in the final scene. Okay, what really works well is when you have an indoor shot, so you have better lighting conditions. If you shoot outdoors, you know, the sun can move in the sky. It'll create different shadows. Notice the added believability in that figures overlap. Each figure is wearing a different item of clothing, so they look a little more natural. If you got 6 or 7 of your friends together, they wouldn't all show up wearing the same thing. That'd be really creepy. So those are the things that kind of help. If you have an indoor shot, if you got a nice open room that is well lit, and you have multiple outfit changes, it just helps. Okay. What I've given you is 2 different ones to choose from to learn this process. You have Chris on the stairs, multiplicity, or Marie at the table. Okay. If I double click Chris stairs, I had my wife take a few pictures of me. Now I got lazy. Okay. I wore the same thing in every shot. But it adds believability if you can change your outfits. So here I took a photograph like I was pointing at something. Then in the next photo, I was posing, looking at the camera. And then the next photo, I was behind. And then the next photo, I'm looking through the stairs. And the next photo, I was up here. And the next photo, I'm up higher. And the next photo, I'm up there. Notice the idea here. The camera never moved. Okay, the only thing that moves is your poses throughout the scene. So I put the camera on a table, or I'm sorry, on a chair. I taped it down on the chair so it wouldn't move, and I told my wife, when I say go, hit the shutter, take a picture. Let me move, take another picture. Let me move, take another, and another, and another. But notice how the angle, the room, nothing changes but me in that photo. Okay, if I come back up to 3.7, here's the one that I took of my wife. I said, do 8 poses. So there's pose number 8. There's pose number 7. Pose number 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So my camera moved a little bit because I was holding it still. I was just holding it in the air, trying not to move. So if you get a very slight movement here and there, that's not going to be a problem. Okay, you just don't want your camera to be pointing over here and then pointing up there and pointing down here. Your camera should essentially stay as still as possible. So you can choose to work on this one where she's kind of going around the table, or you can choose to work on me where I'm going eventually up the stairs. So, hey, if I'm doing the demo, I'm going to do the picture of me. Why not? So I'm going to click the first photo, shift click the 7th, and then I'm going to do the same thing I did for the panoramic. Tools menu, Photoshop, load files into Photoshop layers. I get this spinning wheel, so it might ask me if I want to cue this command again. Oh, no, okay, it is working. It's just, I guess my computer's getting tired. All right, there we go. So what I have is, just to kind of help you out, I named my poses in the order that they should go. The way a multiplicity works is the person who is closest to you should be at the top. Okay, then the next person, then the next person behind them, and then the next person. And you notice as they get further away, they get lower. Further away is lower, and the furthest away is at the bottom. Okay, as they get closer, they go on top. Closer on top, closer on top, closer on top, closest at the top. Okay, your camera might move a little bit. So what you want to do, like a panoramic, is click, shift click, and then go to edit menu, auto align your layers. You just want to make sure that all the railings line up, all the chandeliers line up, all the couches line up, and you simply click OK. You just got to make sure every layer lines up. Okay, then all you have to do is start at the top. This photo is covering every other photo. So just to make sure you know which one you're going to be dealing with, turn off the eyeball. So I know it was the guy sitting on the couch. Okay. What I want to do is only see me on the couch. Everything else should be eliminated, because when I do that, the next photo has the background. So here's how you're going to get photos to blend. You start on the top, layer menu, layer mask, hide all of the top photo. This little box on the right is a layer mask. It is an eraser. Okay, wherever you paint with black, it erases the photo. So if this whole thing is black, the whole top layer is erased. But I know I was kind of standing in this position, kind of standing on the edge of the couch. So what I do is I click here. You want to make sure you're on the right side. You're going to see a little white frame around that. You hit D for default colors. If the layer mask is black, you obviously want to paint with the opposite color of white. Okay, I'm going to zoom in because I know I was generally in this area. So with my brush, I'm going to hold my Control and Option key on my Mac. That would be Control and Alt key and your right mouse button on a PC. And you make your brush soft. You're going to blend photos. You don't want to go down for a hard brush. You want to go up for a soft brush. You want to go to the left for a smaller brush for detail. And I know I was standing right about here. So I'm just going to paint a little bit. And now, by painting with white, I'm unerasing this part of the layer. Okay? I don't want to erase my chest, so I'm going to keep erasing slowly. You only want to reveal the figure again. So I'm going to slowly go around here. Find the edge of my shoulder right there. You don't want to paint way out here because I was not sitting out here. Okay, the main goal is to just reveal yourself again. So I'm going to go up, slowly find my ear and the top of my head right there. That's the goal. Only find the figure, no other areas. So I'm going to slowly go around that shoulder right there. Kind of slowly follow it down because I don't want to paint way out here. And we'll go across there. We'll find the edge of my arm. Right down there where my hand was kind of resting on the edge of the couch. Right there. And let's paint up in here. Let's fill in all the rest of the missing parts of my body. I'm only revealing this part of the layer where I was sitting. I don't care about the rest of the house because that's going to be the next photo. See, I'm starting to sit together. So I'm going to keep painting with white, just trying to reveal myself. That's all I want to find. I don't care about the rest of the room. Okay, the further you go away from the edge of the figure, the more you're going to have a mess later on. So I'm trying to be really careful here. Slowly find my way out. Okay, and just for argument's sake, let's say you do this. Whoops. All you have to do is hit X to switch your color to black, and you scrape off your photo. Like that. X to switch your color to white, and now you start to unerase this photo some more. We'll go down, find the edge of my leg right there. Find the edge of my shoe. And find all the rest of this leg right up in there. Find the edges. We'll paint in the rest of the figure. All the rest of the shorts. The other side of the other leg right here. And there's the pant leg. There's the other edge of my leg right there. And let's find the other side of my leg right there. All right, cool. So that's all I needed to show on that layer, because that's going to blend in with all the others. Now notice right here, this shadow looks weird. So I know there was nobody standing here, so I'm just going to keep painting white because my shadow is cast all along this wall right there. You know, shadows do different things in different photos. I cast a shadow on this pot right here. There we go. Okay, notice the further I paint away from my body, the more it's going to cover up the next figure. Here's what that does. The further I paint away with white, the more it's going to cover up that figure. Because you have to remember, when I took this photo, there was nobody sitting next to me. I didn't have a twin. Okay, so what you want to do is, now that you see I painted away from the edge of the body, I hit X for black. I hold my Control and Option key. I'll come down for a harder edge, to the left for a smaller brush, and now I paint with black. I erase. I don't want to see anything other than me. Okay, so I'll go right up against the edge of my arm like this. When I get all those other edges out of there, like that, the next figure will go right up to the edge of my arm. Okay, that other figure was supposed to be sitting behind my arm, so I want to erase right up to the edge. Okay, erase all this around the edge of my sleeve, so that figure's head will reappear. This is what I'm doing. Erase all this stuff. That is not part of me. If it's not part of me, get rid of it. Okay, if it's not part of my sleeve, get rid of it. We'll go in with a really small brush for that little corner. You can see how the next photo just slides right up there. So if I see a little bright edges, just paint and scrape off the edge right there, so it looks like one figure goes right up to the edge of the next figure. Okay, you're just hiding photos or layers behind other layers. So now I'll come back up here. I'll paint and scrape away against my shoulder right there. You can turn off the other layers, because this is not part of me, this is not part of me, this is not part of me. So I want to scrape away all that stuff and only reveal me in the photo. Okay, get rid of all that, because otherwise it's going to cover up other figures. And I'll leave some of that just to show you what I mean. Okay, your ultimate goal is scrape around the edge of all the figures. But for now, we'll leave that. Okay, what I would also recommend is that you save your progress. So I'm going to go to File menu, Save a Copy. That allows me to save my layers. I'm going to save it as a layered Photoshop file. Okay, on my desktop, I'll call this last name, first name, Chris multi stairs. Something to describe the photo. I want to keep my layers because I'm not done. If you get maximize compatibility, just click OK. Now keep in mind, this is the secret. That Photoshop file is on your desktop. This is still the original one. So I close the original. I don't need to save it. Now I go to File and Open, and on my desktop, I open the file that I just saved. Nielsen Chris multi-stairs. Okay, now I just pick up where I left off. So now I click on number 2. I turn off the eyeball. Number 2 is the one of me sitting on the couch. And I do it all over again. Layer menu, layer mask, hide all of me sitting on the couch. D for default colors, you have to stay on the right side. Now with my brush, we'll make it a little bigger. I'll just click and drag right here, kind of find me sitting on the couch. I'll paint all the way down, find my leg. I was right up against the edge of the couch right there. I know nobody else was sitting down here, so I'm just going to go with a big soft brush and just kind of blend these two couches together. Blend out my legs right there. There we go. And we'll paint in more of me right here. And I was not overlapping him. I was going behind this arm. So I go right over the edge. I want to make sure that figure overlaps the edge of that arm. I'm tucking my sitting body behind this arm right here. So I'm going to keep going. Slowly find the outer edges now. That's where you got to be really precise. Okay, I don't want to paint up here because I have another photo of me standing up here. So I just want to focus on the outer edges. Just to find the edge of the figure. The less you paint away, the better. So we'll go right out here. Find my elbow. Paint in all the rest of this right in here. And we'll paint in all the rest of my face right in there. All right. So now I have essentially 3 of me sitting together. But notice right here, I get a weird kind of haze around the shoulders. That's because I painted away from the edge. Okay, so what you want to do now is hit X for black. Make your brush a little smaller and harder by dragging down. And now by painting with black, I erase right around the edge. All I want to see on this layer is me, not the stairs, not the back edge of that room back there. Every layer should only reveal the figure. That's it. So I'm going to scrape away as much as I can right down here. I don't want to see anything else but me and what I was sitting on. Okay, I don't need to see these stairs up here. I don't need to see anything behind my ear, nothing behind the edge of my hat. So I'm just going to scrape right around those edges. And I'll hit X for white. Looks like I didn't paint far enough. There we go. X for black. And I keep scraping away. X for black means erase. Okay, I'm erasing this background. I am not over here. I'm not down here. I'm just scraping away to only reveal me. That is the secret. Okay, we'll go right around my ear. Right there. And we'll go right around there, down around there. I can scrape over the edge because remember I was going behind this figure. That looks pretty good. All right, good. Now let's turn on my photos. I don't get that weird haze around my head or my arm. But notice right here, I got a weird haze going around. Okay? That's because on the top layer, I painted too far away from the edge of my body. That's why you want to clean up the edges. Because when I reveal this figure, he's kind of fading away. There we go. I painted too far away from the edge of my body. So I go back to the top. You can always tell which figure is doing that by turning off the eyeball. Okay, I go to the right. You always want to be on the right. D for default. X for black, and now I'm going to scrape away again all the way around the edges of the figure. I just want to see the figure. So we'll go right around there, all the way down to there, go around the edge of the shoulder here, and then I scrape away all this other stuff. This was part of the room. That wasn't part of me. So I get rid of everything. All I want to see is the figure. Nothing floating outside the edge of the figure. So I got to scrape all this off. Right down the edge of the arm. Scrape away all this room back here. And by doing so, the next figure on the stairs is going to go right behind the edge of my sleeve. Like that. Okay, so we'll just keep scraping with black right around that edge. Get rid of all that stuff that is not part of me. This is not part of me. This is not part of me. I want to go all the way around the edges. And I can clean that up because I made a harder edge brush. Okay. Scrape all that down to right about there. Let's see. Okay, we'll go a little further because I know there was like a plant right there. All right, there we go. So now I got a clean shot. This guy disappears right behind that shoulder. I'm missing a little bit around the edge of the head, so let's go around here. Right around the edge of my head right there. That looks good. Good enough for me. All right, now I have 3 of us. Command S or Control S on your PC. Save your progress. Now I come down to the third one. That's the guy standing on the stairs right there. And I do it again. Layer menu, layer mask, hide all. D for default colors. I know my head was right here, so I'm going to paint with white right here and find my head. I know I was kind of in between these railings, so I'm going to paint that space right in there. My arm kind of went over the railing, so I'll come out and find the edge of my arm, find the edge of my sleeve right there. Find the upper edge, and we'll paint all that missing part back in so I look nice and solid. I was going right down behind this shoulder right in there. And let's see, go a little bit up here just to find the top of my semi-balding head right there. I know I had some legs sticking out over here. There we go. There's part of my shirt. And part of my legs sticking out right in there. In between those stair railings. All right. Now, here's the other thing. I know I had another arm sticking up here, but I can't remember where that was. So if you forget, you can go right on top of your layer mask, hold Shift and click. That will put a big red X. It'll disable it for a minute. I can see I got an arm going right down toward the top of my head. So I got to remember that. I Shift click again, turn on my layer mask, and now I know there was also an arm sticking right in here toward the top of my head. And there was a hand sitting right there. I want to find those fingertips and just the top edge of my hand. Cool. Now I have 4 of me sitting together. But again, when I zoom in, I'm kind of missing half of my head right here. So I have to start turning off layers. Is that the one blocking my ear? No. Is that the one blocking my ear? Nope. That's the one, the top layer again. I go to the right, turn these layers off. See, I went away from the head. So D for default colors, X for black. I want to scrape all that off. This railing is covering this guy's head. Okay, so I want to scrape all that off. Get all this other room out of the way. I only want to paint right up to the edge. Sorry about that. Right up to the edge of my head. Just get that out of the way. Get this out of the way. If you want a smoother edge to the head, make your brush a little softer like that. You can kind of soften up the edge of the hairline right there because it's a weird kind of cut. There we go. Soften up that edge right there. There we go. Now I'm not disappearing behind my head. Okay, I can see a little bit of an edge right here, so I'll make my brush a little harder. Paint with black and just scrape that edge right there. This side I don't have to worry about because I erased around this hat to begin with. Right there. So I already did my work on that part. Good. Command S. Save my progress. Now I got 4 of us sitting together. I go down to pose 4. That's the one in the railing. Layer menu, layer mask, hide all, D for default colors, and I know I was sitting right between these 2 guys, so I go right down into here. I'm behind this shoulder, behind this sleeve. There's part of my neck. There's my shoulder right there. Okay, there's my head. And let's find the rest of my head between these railings right here. And I want to just find the top of my head right there. Okay, again, I don't remember if my hand was over here, so I shift click. Okay, I know my hand was right there. Shift click again, and I'll paint with some white. Gotta find the edge of my hand. What I always do is reveal everything. X for black, and now I just scrape right around my fingertips right there. Just get that out of the way, right around my knuckles. There we go. Okay, that looks good. I'll come in and scrape away from around my head, because that's where my hairline goes. And we'll scrape that out right there. That looks good enough for me. All right. Check that out. Now I got 5 of me. Command S. Pose number 5 is that guy on the stairs back there. Layer menu, layer mask, hide all. Always stay on the right and hit D for default colors. I know I was standing right here, so I'm going to paint, go right behind that hand, go right behind that head. I'm filling up this space right here. Let's find the edge of my body. And let's find the edge of my shoulder and my arm right there. We'll go up, find the edge of my head. And the cast shadow on the wall. Okay, every figure is casting a shadow from this big chandelier right here. So I want to make sure my body is casting its proper shadow right down to that edge. And I go all the way behind this railing, all the way behind this head, behind this shoulder. That looks good. Now when I zoom in, I see this weird kind of haze. So I'll turn these off, and that's why. X for black. We'll come in and I'll scrape away. I just want to show me, not the wall right there. Get all this out of here. Right down to there. I go right behind that head. So that's perfect. We'll scrape out this area right here and just get right in that corner. X for white. We'll put the edge of my arm back on. Put the edge of my stomach back on right there. Okay, X for black. And I'll continue to erase and erase. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, go with black right up to that edge. You don't want these weird little halo effects around the arm. This little weird halo effect right there. This weird halo around my elbow. There we go. Okay, that looks pretty clean. Check it out. Now notice this arm. It has this weird halo effect. Okay, so I start turning off eyeballs. Which one is causing that halo? There. This is the layer. You always stay on the right. And I paint with black and I scrape away right up to the edge of the arm. So I get rid of that halo effect. All right, cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I go down to pose number 6, Command S or Control S, save your progress. Pose number 6 is this one standing right here. And I do it all over again. Layer menu, layer mask, hide all, D for default colors. And I know I was standing right behind this shoulder, so I'm just going to keep painting. Find my cast shadow right there. Find the shadow that this pose is casting along the wall. That's eventually going to find the back of my head. Okay, we'll go right around there. Find the edge. And we'll fill in all the rest. Paint, paint, paint. Fill in the rest of me. I go down behind this arm. I go down behind that body. I'm probably coming down behind this area here. Notice I get this weird little halo. Same thing is happening. So I got to find out which one. So I take my move tool, click, and it finds the layer. See? Okay. Go to the right. X to paint with black, and I'm going to scrape around this head. Get rid of that. My body goes right behind this neck. My body goes right behind this shoulder. Right there. There we go. Okay, now I've got a weird halo around this hand. What is causing that? I click on the halo. Ah, that layer. Okay. Go to the right. I paint with black. And I will scrape away around that hand. Right there. All I should see is the hand, not the yellow wall behind that hand. There we go. I'm going to clean that up. I want to clean up this area right here. Get all that out of there. X for white. We'll put that edge back on right about there. There we go. Okay. X for black. I want to clean up the edge of my head. So this guy's shirt goes right up to the edge of my head. Kind of a soft brush to fade out along my hairline right there. Soft brush to fade out along the edge of my hairline. There we go. Perfect. Okay, what is going on with this arm? It's disappearing. So I got to click on this little halo. Always stay on the right. And I paint with black. I want to erase this extra halo right around the edge of my head. Here's what I'm doing. Scraping all this extra wall away from my head. Because this last figure has to go right up to the back of my head, right up to the edge of my neck, right up to the edge of my shirt. And there we go. Check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 poses all sitting together in this nice little stairway scene. So what I do at the end, Command S, you leave your bottom layer alone. That is the house itself. If you turn that off, everything is going to disappear. Your bottom layer is the last figure, the one that's furthest away from you. It's the environment, so you never touch your bottom layer. What you do now is zoom in and check for any details. So I'm going to zoom in to the right, hold my space bar, and I don't like that little bright edge. So I take my move tool, click on it, and then I turn off the eyeball. See, that bright edge is part of that layer. Always stay on the right, and I start painting with black, and I scrape off that little bright edge. Scrape off that little bright edge on the top of the hat right there. Scrape off that little bright edge right there. Cool. We'll scrape off that bright edge right there. Okay, I see another weird bright edge. So I go to my move tool, click on it, always stay on the right to erase. And when I paint with black, I'll erase that little halo edge right there. Get a little halo edge right along there. And now I'm just cleaning up minor little details. See, I don't want this weird bright yellowish brown along the edge of my shoulder right there. It's going to look nice and clean. It's not going to look fake. People don't walk around with halos glowing around the edges of their shoulders or glowing along the edges of their sleeves. Okay, this all looks really good. I got a weird edge right here. Let's see, let's click there and let's see what that's doing. Okay, so click to the right. If I paint with black, that erases, so I don't want to do that. So let's click X and let's paint in the rest of this. There we go. I forgot to reveal that part. I forgot to reveal this part. All right, good. This is all looking good. I don't like this weird halo right around my shoulder, so I take my move tool, click on it, always stay on the right, X for black, and I'll just scrape off that little bright edge right along the edge of that sleeve right there. That looks good. Nice and clean. Everybody else is looking pretty clean around here. That shoulder looks clean. Everybody else looks pretty darn clean. So I think I'm done. That looks pretty darn believable. Okay. Once that is done, I can go in to the pop-up on my layers panel, flatten out the image, and I don't need all this extra blank space. So I'm going to take my crop tool. If there's any weird space in the composition, crop it out. If there's any blank spaces on the side, I always pull these just slightly inward just to make sure there's no blank space along the edges. And I hit return. There we go. Now I can do any final touch-ups, like maybe this room is a little bit too yellow. Image menu. Let's try auto color. That really didn't do anything. So let's go to edit, undo. Let's try image menu, adjustments, hue and saturation. And I'm going to take the yellows and we'll desaturate those just a little bit. You don't want to do too much because then you're going to pull the yellow out of the lettering, but I want to tone down a little bit of the yellow in the room. And I'll zoom in a little bit more. I don't like this stuff on my shirt. So you have a spot healing brush. Click, click, click. Get rid of a few spots. Any blemishes anywhere else. That looks pretty good. And I like that result. Now some people might argue, well, your railing is tilting in. Your wall is tilting in. Well, that goes back to the earlier part of chapter 3. I also have a perspective crop tool. So I can click and drag over the whole thing, Hold my shift key and drag this inward, right about there, to about the same angle as the railing. Hold shift and click and drag this inward to the same angle as that wall. Hit return. But again, that slightly distorts my photo. Plus, I didn't get the angle right, so let's undo that. Let's do it again. Hold shift, drag that in a little further. Hold shift and drag that in a little further, right about there. Hit return. You can see it kind of squishes the photo. So I double click the background. We'll just call this group. Go to my move tool, Command T on a Mac or Control T on a PC. And when I hold shift, I can pull this up. Kind of set it back to its normal proportion so my head's not an oval. Okay, hold shift and we just bring this down a little bit so our figures are a little more vertical again. They maintain their proper proportions. I hit return and there is my multiplicity. So here's my challenge for you. Now that you know the process, you're going to turn this in. Okay, save a copy. Now that I'm done, I will save it as a JPEG on my desktop and 8 or high quality. Now that you know how to do this, I want to challenge you to shoot your own multiplicity. So in the next Canvas module page, if you're in my class, you're going to see another assignment. Create your own original multiplicity. You have to do your own with a minimum of 6 or more in the photo. You do not have to be the one in the photo. In fact, I'm going to do another quick demo video to go along with that assignment and show you some examples. Like I said, here's an example that was done in the class, and that is the multiplicity image from a previous student. This is what he did. I said, now that you know how to touch up a multiplicity of me or the one of my wife sitting at the table, now that you know the process, then I'm going to challenge you to go shoot your own. So you're going to turn it in to show me you know the process, and you're going to go and photograph your own. Minimum 6 or more. This could be a picture of your brother, your cousin, your wife, your uncle, a neighbor, your friend, whoever. Okay, it's easier for you to tell the person what to do than to try and have somebody else photograph you. But he did a minimum of 6 or more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 6 or more in a well-lit space, doing whatever those 6 or 7 or 12 people want to do. It's up to you. But that is the challenge. Do one of me or my wife, save it, and turn it in. Then do one of your own making and save it and turn it in. Show me you know this process. And as always, good luck.